Calumet City Police Department have no remorse for anything that they do to anyone. My local 55 UAW, 551 UAW, which I'm a member of the Recreation Committee, they visit my union hall and ask, are you supporting what happened to Stephon Edward Watts?
Who did they ask?
They asked the secretary. The secretary said yes. And the officer was so angry from Calumet City, he stated to her, how dare you go against our union? This is the police officer that leave Calumet City all the way through Burnham to Chicago, the city of Chicago, and asks, how dare do you go against our union? I'm a UAW member, and these are my brothers and sisters, and they have problem knowing that my UAW is supporting my son, the Powell Watts family. Also, a couple days before my birthday, shortly after Mother's Day, I was very down because this is the first year without my son for Mother's Day. And it's coming on to my birthday. And I was leaving for work. I'd stop at the house to check in the house, to retrieve the mail and to spend a little time here. And while I was going to work, I stopped to check to make sure I have my badge. And the police officer, somebody was behind me blowing his horn. And when I look, it was Calumet City Police Department. I put my hand out the window and tell him to go around several times, and he insisted in blowing his horn, so I got out of his way. When I turned, he decided to follow me. He followed me all the way. I got out of his way and let him proceed to go where he was going. Then I joined into the traffic. When we got into a lane that turned into two lanes, I stayed in the middle lane and he merged into the right lane. Just before I turned and Burnham and to Torrance Avenue, I make a left-hand turn. The officer who we found out was Officer Hynek came over two lanes, and I pulled over in front of the gas station. He put his window down. He stopped, put his window down, and staring at me. And I did not know who he was. So I asked him, I got out my car and asked him, what do you want? Do you want to murder me like he murdered my son, Stephon Edward Watts, right beside his dad while he's standing at the foot of the basement? What do you want? Do you want to murder me like you all murder my son? Couple days later, I was called into my attorney office only to find out that this officer have his attorney write my attorney that I was harassing that officer, which I didn't even know he was the one that shot my son. So happened to be he's the first one, a non-emergency phone call, and 5 officers show up in a 4-squad car. And Officer Hynek was never called to the scene, but he was the first one show up, and he's the first one that shot my son. We need justice. It's not going to be justice for my son. My son, justice is for him to live. What we need is justice for others, for you and you and you, so it never happened to another human being. There is a website, Justice for Stephon Edward Watts. There's 2 petitions in there. One of them, everybody in the whole United States can sign it, because we're trying to get a bill passed for first responders, which is fire, paramedic, and police, to be trained to deal with people with a disability. And I'm asking each and every one to please help, because autism does not discriminate, and disability, whether mentally or physical, do not discriminate. So please support this bill so these officers and police officers, fire department, and paramedic can be trained to deal with people with a disability, and they do not get away with what they did to my son and others. This will never happen again. The only way we can have this is for us all to unite And as I said, it's not for the Powell Watts family because it will never bring Stephon back. It's so that it never happened to all of you or any one of you. Thank you.